You know, this time there won't be any Hodyna patented bullshit intro. Because, I mean, the game speaks for itself, and if your face isn't grinning right now just looking at this menu, well, you either are a soulless husk, or are still deeply traumatized because you actually played the game for more than the first few levels. I still remember my first time booting up this game and watching this glorious intro with my mouth wide open, and the whole 207 seconds of absolutely beautiful claymation, the art form that I always been a large fan of. Back then I didn't know what to expect from this game. I got it as a bonus to sweeten up the deal for Team Hospital. I guess the guy really wanted to play the championship bass, huh? So yeah, it's 2001 and my goofy 8-year-old self has no idea what he is getting into, nor that it is actually a sequel to a PC adventure game called the Neverhood, most known for its 40-screen hallway containing the cosmology of the game's universe and an overly long burping gag. I played it years later and got stuck on the sliding puzzle at the beginning of the game. Yeah, I'm special like that, but I managed to finish it as an adult. It also had a PlayStation version, but only in Japan, because we don't deserve nice things. Anyway, the plot. Clog, the villain of the previous game, crash lands on the planet Idznak, inhabited by the titular Skullmonkeys. That should be really creepy and disturbing, but somehow they ended up being really cute in a weird sort of way. Thanks to the creature's stupidity, Clog becomes their leader just like that, after donning a skull of their fallen comrade. Kind of disturbing, but you'll get used to that as you progress through this insanity. Clog, like every good villain, orders construction of a doomsday weapon.
Evil Engine number 9.
With no information about what happened to its predecessors. Luckily, one intelligent skull monkey named Jerio decides to contact our hero, one and only Clayman, with an... The poor guy was just chilling with his friend Willy, enjoying a nice sandwich, and just like that he was snatched to save the world. Again. Well, at least he gets to see some pretty sights and take cool pictures while he's at it. And then credits roll for the first time, while you get to hear the main theme of the game. Before starting, I just wanted to mention something really cool about this sequence. I was kind of freaking out seeing that some picture frames were just empty. But then I realized that it's because these are the pictures that Clayman took during his flight. And well, he was flying through space, which is mostly empty. Neat detail indeed. And with that and a press of a button, we can finally start the game, after seeing one of many level title cards. These are amazing. And while the Neverhood was a very simple point-and-click adventure game with Skullmonkeys, they threw it all away and went with a classic 2D platformer, and a very hardcore one at that. The type where you die in one hit and have a very limited moveset that you'll have to learn by heart to even have a chance of finishing the game. A very bold move in a time when this formula was already being called obsolete. Sony had a big hate boner for anything not involving the Z-axis, and gamers drooling just thinking about 3D collectathons of the era. And yet, I think that Doug Tenapo, who also was the main sculptor for the series, deserves every bit of respect for that decision. He stuck to his vision and managed to create something truly one of a kind that is elevated by the chosen form. It just works. And it does so beautifully. I don't even want to think how much time was put into modeling all the environments and characters out of clay, making them so full of personality, and then animating it all so fluidly as they did. Like, you look at it and just can't believe your eyes that someone made something like this game. And it not only looks outstanding, even if the resolutions for some assets could be better, I suppose, but the sound department manages to keep up with the visuals, if not actually taking the crown from them. I mean, the soundtrack is just that good. The Neverhood had a wacky, completely bizarre OST that somehow tickled your brain in just the right spot and made you appreciate its unspeakable genius. The soundtrack of Skullmonkeys is just like that, but cranked up to 11, more lively and fast-paced to fit the genre change. Normally, when I record games, if there's an option to turn the music off, I do so to get the pure gameplay with sound effects only, so that the editing would be better and easier for me. But I couldn't force myself to do that with Skullmonkeys. Don't get me wrong, I really love hearing my favorite stock sound effect over and over again. And no matter how many times I hear it, I still smile, but I mean, playing this game without the music should be punished by law. It's one of those hidden masterpieces that nearly nobody knows about. Just listen to the track from the tutorial level. Like, damn! And it remains consistently good, even if it also constantly switches up styles. And get this! Every level has two variations of its theme. The first screen is instrumental only, while the later ones add lyrics and other stuff. There's a surprising number of lyric-heavy songs in this game, and yet they just fit perfectly. Not to mention that they are absolutely hilarious. My favorite example of that would be the theme from the Castle de los Muertos, which consists of listing the Mexican foodstuffs. And that's all. Amazing! So yeah, I would say that Skullmonkeys is a title worth checking out just for the audio visuals alone, and treating it like a top-tier interactive music album. If the game portion wasn't actually as good as it is. Believe me or not, Skullmonkeys is a complete package. Even if the formula and Clayman's movements are extremely basic, you just run and jump, trying to reach the end of a stage and not getting killed by obstacles, enemies and your own incompetence. Of course, while collecting neat stuff in the meantime that will make your existence at least a tiny bit easier. It's really not that much, but there's something so beautiful about a game being so pure. Don't get me wrong, it's not like every level is just a copy of the previous one with differently placed platforms and enemies. Each one runs with a specific theme and tries to implement it mechanically, like climbing vines, riding on automatically moving pieces of meat to not drop into the hot dog water, jumping from falling off gondolas, or a big vertical level where you use a normally very rare power-up that allows you to slowly glide down. The game does absolutely everything it can to remain interesting despite its simplistic core, and it does a wonderful job at it. There are 2 levels that completely break the game's standard formula. One of them is a bonus level where you pilot a boat, similar to the Salamander Cave sequence from Earthworm Jim, a series also created by Doug TenNapel. The other one is near the end of the game and is an auto-runner where you ride a beast, dodging planes that try to bomb you. Both are quite enjoyable for the short distractions they are. But these levels are just that, a distraction from the main meat of the game, the grade A platforming action. Every level, outside of the previously mentioned duo, is split into 3 to 5 vast screens you progress from one side to another. 90% of the time it's from left to right, but there are some exceptions. Sometimes you get to choose between 2 portals, with the red one leading to a more difficult section, better rewards and adding a bit of replay value. Of course, there are enemies, plenty of them actually. Most of them can be dispatched by simply jumping butt first on their heads, causing them to explode. But beware, there are enemies that are immune to that and will explode you instead if you come in any contact with them. But with the game's presentation, you shouldn't have too much of an issue recognizing what's kosher to jump on and what's not. Unless you collected the uncommon Halo power-up, Clayman always dies from a single hit.
You got me joking!
Sending you to the closest checkpoint, represented by Marbirds, called that because they... well, they do a ma sound when you jump on one. And in case you haven't encountered one yet, to the current screen's beginning, I would say that they did a decent job with checkpoint placement. Most of the time. Because obviously there will be times when you'll be begging for one after dealing with a particularly annoying section that already consumed a lot of your lives, just to be graced with another equally grueling section. Extra lives are a really precious commodity in this game. With how easy it is to lose them, they are pretty much the ultimate reward, which developers use to their advantage, often baiting you by placing them in dangerous places, bringing you to your doom an embarrassingly high amount of times. You also get an additional life for each 100 clay balls you collect. These things are everywhere, often in clumps of 4, making level exploration more fun by drip feeding you small amounts of dopamine each second. Nowadays, people are calling life-based systems archaic and not fun, but I beg to differ. They make the experience tenser and more exhilarating at the same time, forcing players to pay attention thanks to the raised stakes, allowing them to forge long-lasting memories of finally passing that run-ender of a segment with just a single life left, or handing developers a pickup that's always desired by the players. And seriously, while cliché, collect 100, get a 1-up just works. It gives players something to collect that isn't too valuable, allowing it to be placed en masse but still is good and meaningful enough to grab it. Because even if I like Skullmonkeys gameplay, it wouldn't be as good without minor collectibles or the constant fear of running out of lives. Like every good classic game, Skullmonkeys also has plenty of secrets. Most of them involve invisible walls holding goodies or just reaching an unusual place by jumping. Things you get from them are nice, but nothing that would make you truly regret missing them. Looking for them is just a fun side thing to do and rewards players' curiosity. To me, hearing Clayman say "secret" is just its own reward. On the level's end summary, you also get a single point for every secret found. Points are also awarded for every life in your reserve at the end of a level and the amount of levels cleared. What is the point of, points? It's nothing! Outside of bragging rights, I guess. Each level also holds 3 squigglies. They tend to be a bit harder to grab or are slightly out of the normal path, but nothing too tough, even if you're not exploring a level to their fullest. Getting all 3 opens up a squiggly clay teleporter right next to the level's exit. Jumping into one will take you to that level's little bonus room, where you can not only get some really cool stuff for the future levels, but also get to hear the thing that this game is probably the most well known for. I mean, just listen to it while I play some footage of bonus rooms.
Here's a little bonus room, 'cause I know you've had it tough. And here's a little bonus tune about collecting real cool stuff. Yes, here's a little bonus room where you can play. Don't be frightened, don't run away. You can linger, 'cause I'm your video friend. Think of me as a father figure with a hand to lend. Here's a little bonus room where you don't have to worry. Take your sweet time, you need not hurry. Oh, you're looking incredible, you're the bomb. And me, I'm kinda like your dad, and a little like your mom. There are no monsters here, hey wait, look over there. I was just kidding. Don't be scared.
If you knew about it, then you knew. If not, well, I'm sorry, but also, joke's on you. I still remember my reaction to hearing that bit for the first time. The controller was dropped, and I ran away from my room. The song lies down. There are bonus rooms with enemies. Also, with the game selling quite poorly and now being abandonware, I guess that the residuals weren't all that high. Such a shame. By the way, through all these years I was sure that after the track ends, you just get to hear an instrumental version of it, but no, the musical friend keeps to his word, at least this time.
I'll never leave you.
Oh, and if you fall down or get killed in any other way in this room, it just ends, sending you to the stage completion screen. Little bonus rooms can get pretty trollish, so be wary of that. Outside of squigglies, there are also 3 1970s emblems for you to grab. They are in 3 different levels, and while the first one is practically a freebie, the other 2, not so much. In fact, I missed them completely, and in my opinion, I was quite thorough during my playthrough. But we'll get back to it later, because now it's time to power up. Outside of Halo, which allows you to endure one additional hit, and Glidey Bird, which allows you to glide, every other power-up can be stored and used at any moment you see fit. The first one you'll encounter is the green bullet, that you can fire by pressing circle. They are really fast and accurate and can be shot while jumping. One will take down nearly every standard enemy, and it can be used against bosses effectively. Despite how common and simple they are, green bullets are extremely useful, and you can have up to 20 of them. Now, to something more unconventional. Under L2 there's Fart Head, basically a fart clone of Clayman that can be used to scout the area, kill some enemies or grab things placed in dangerous spots without risking your actual life. If the clone dies, you get back to the original body and nothing is lost. If the clone survives long enough, Clayman will automatically take his place. It's just that, a scouting tool. Really useful when you're far from the last Marbird and are afraid of losing progress. Phoenix Hand, activated with an L1 tap, is a homing projectile that's a bit slower than green bullets, but will always hit something. Though something is a key word, as the bird can just fly behind you and kill the enemy you didn't really care for anymore. The remaining two are found later in the game and are quite a bit rarer. R1 unleashes the which, as the name suggests, clears the whole screen of enemies, even those that are resistant to other power-ups. When I was younger, I always wondered what would be the role of the final power-up.
Hello!
Which taunted me on the pause screen. Back then I never got far enough to see it myself, and its icon, the head of that weird creepy guy from the intro, didn't really betray what the use for it was. Then again, playing the Neverhood Chronicles and getting to know Willy wouldn't help to decipher that puzzle either. Super Willy is disappointing to say the least. Pressing R2 will make the giant head of Willy collect every item on the screen for you. The only thing that is super nice about it is the fact that he also collects secret items if they are hidden. So that's that. You can only hold 7 of every power-up that isn't Green Bullet, which encourages you to use them semi-regularly. Honestly, dedicating a special button to each type of tool without forcing players to navigate menus or scroll through them in real time was an ingenious decision. They are all useful and can make really annoying sections a lot more bearable. But they are also a very limited commodity, and if you lose a life and get sent to the last checkpoint, you won't get back any items you've used. So it forces more decision making on the players. I would dare to say that after the first third of the game, it becomes as much of a resource management game as it is a platformer. And it's good. It will make your brain feel smart. Oh, there's also trio of hamsters that will shield you from 3 enemies or disappear after a while. It's both rare and meh. And trust me, if you want to finish the game, you'll need every single power-up you can scrounge and then use them at the right moments. Because the game is hard. The first few levels may lure you into a false sense of
"It's reasonably challenging, but I'm pretty good,"
giving you plenty of stuff, while sparing you tricky jumps and devilish enemy placements. You'll still lose a life or 2 from time to time, but it won't be a big deal. And then comes the end arc. I had to restart the game completely 2 times before I was finally able to break through that horrible 4-level block. It will drain your power up and life's reserve, while not giving you much in return. Seriously, the obnoxious placements of enemies that can't be butt-stomped, and the sheer amount of extremely precise jumps you have to do is simply unbelievable. And once the aptly named is over, the difficulty drops significantly, and the game becomes so generous with pickups that many times you'll max out on supplies, as if developers were suddenly sorry about what happened. I can forgive, but I can never forget. It stays like this pretty much till the final screen of the game, which sucker punches players with several extremely demanding back-to-back jumping puzzles. I don't remember when the last time I encountered such a schizophrenic difficulty curve was. Then again, that crash course made the later parts of the game almost relaxing and helps me regain confidence in my gaming skills. Clayman controls very well, and hitboxes are mapped properly, so you won't be able to blame your deaths on anything else than yourself.
Are you sure about that?
Though I have to admit that there are quite a few jumps that require near pixel perfect precision. If you've been keenly watching the video up to this point, I'm sure you have noticed that on the level finished screen, a large amount of space is taken by a password. In its manual, Skullmonkeys brags about players not needing a memory card to play it. And that's true. After beating each level, you get a password that will enable you to start from the next level. But passwords are the only way of continuing the game, outside of retrying after you get a game over, which will happen eventually. Yeah, there's no memory card functionality. A puzzling choice, seeing that even old games like the original Crash Bandicoot took advantage of it. Luckily, each password is at most 12 characters long and only uses face and shoulder buttons. And you know, I thought that starting a level through the password screen would put me there in the same state as continuing does, as in with 5 lives and nothing else. But no, I completely underestimated the programming team and how many combinations you can get using so few characters. With passwords, the game can recall the level, number of lives, how many swirly cues, which is the proper name for squigglies, were collected in previous levels, 1970s tokens, and the amount of power-ups on hand. Sadly, green bullets are zeroed, so it's not perfect, but still, wow! Let it be a lesson to remember. Never assume things without clear confirmation, always check them yourself. Seriously though, that's some unnecessary dedication and technical wizardry right there. And hey, I'm sure that I wouldn't finish int levels with the stock I had during my first 2 runs, so starting over did me good. With passwords you can get anywhere, including the 1970s level, which is truly something. It's just so out of place that it weirdly starts making sense considering this game. I mean, they've just put in whatever they liked, and that demands respect. The 1970s isn't really all that harder than the levels around it, but there's a catch. It essentially functions like any other bonus level, which means that one mistake and you're out. No repeats. You do not pass go and do not collect $200. If you're playing legit, you either have to forfeit your run, input Monk Rushmore's password, and go through the whole level while collecting the final 1970s token. Or, you know, you can just get the password online and try the level again and again. As I've said, it's not too tough, even once the game starts distracting you with fancy special effects to simulate a bad trip. The biggest roadblock is, obviously, your own mind. Well, okay, I didn't really enjoy the forward treadmill platforms, they screwed up my jumps way too much. But yeah, I can imagine myself losing my spaghetti as my hands get sweaty from the pressure. Fart heads come in very handy here. Oh, and while the visual effects and the instrumental track are cool and all, check this out.
Groovy. Out of sight. Cool. Shake your groove thing. Get funky. Far out, baby. Right on. Let's have a love in. Superfly. Here's what's happening. What it is. Dig it. I feel your love vibration. What's your sign?
Yeah, this is the biggest obstacle. You'll just screw up from laughing so much. But if you somehow manage to reach the end... My eyes weren't ready for this, but it is glorious. Yeah, extra lives are nice too, and they should be much more than enough to finish the game comfortably.
You dig.
Curiously enough, there's one more secret level. This one is only available through password. Skullmonkeys Gate is placed before the actual first level, but for some reason it was never implemented properly. It's fine, I guess, but definitely not on par with other levels, so I'm not even all that mad that it wasn't included. Just puzzled. This level also has its own little bonus room and 3 swirly cues associated with it, which is a bit problematic. You see, there's actually a secret ending if you manage to get all squigglies and 1970s emblems too, probably. And if my research is actually correct, the ones from Skullmonkeys Gate also are required, so yeah, it's truly a secret to everybody. Or not, I found conflicting reports and wasn't really feeling like trying again. The reward for it, though, is one of the greatest minutes that you'll have in your life. Overall, the animated sequences between levels are as bizarre as they are amazing. A perfect motivator to keeping on. You know, I still remember showing this game to my dad, finishing the first level, well, the other first level, and watching the beans cutscene with him.
More you eat, more you chew, more you chew, better you feel. That's that bean for every meal. Bean, bean, musical fruit. More you eat, more more you tune, more you tune, better you feel. Let's have every meal. Let's play your horn and make it toot with an SBD or a mega P. Let's do a cheer, let's give a hoot. You gotta love these things, there's music free. These musical fruit. More you eat, more you tune, more you tune, better you feel. Let's have things for every meal. These musical fruit. More you eat, more you tune, more you tune, better you feel.
It was really graphic and messed up. And when a fart cloud actually melted the big scale Skullmonkey's head, he was roaring with laughter. My guy got his skull melted and friggin' died, and my dad laughed. Hell, he even was telling about this cutscene during a Christmas dinner with my family that year. It affected him that much. I love this cutscene, not only for how humorous it is, but also for the whole atmosphere. How the Skull Monkey stalks Clayman and prepares to strike. Also, I always thought that the monkey was actually much bigger. Huh. By the way, there are boss fights, 5 of them actually, and they are fine, if really easy compared to the standard levels. I'm not going to say that it wasn't fun to see the crazy designs that the developers came up with, because that would be a lie. Obviously, Joehead Joe takes the cake for the best and the most disturbing design of anything in the game. In any game. I mean, it's probably the only enemy ever created that can kill you with an eye roll. Okay, that was the true reason I've made this video. By the way, if you want, you can use your precious resources to kill bosses easier and faster, which was both surprising and very welcome. There are 2 boss fights where you pilot a vehicle, thus breaking the standard mode. Still, it's a bit disappointing to defeat the big bad of the Neverhood universe during a glorified minigame that is really easy and at the same time feels like it goes on for a lot longer than it really does. Then again, Clog isn't really the final challenge of the game, it's his doomsday machine and at the same time the final level. It's long, exhausting, and introduces time-sensitive disappearing platforms. It's quite underwhelming for a final level, but I did enjoy the ever-present feeling of 50s sci-fi schlock. And yeah, while it's downright pathetically easy during the first 80% of the level, the last screen can go. The weapon to surpass Evil Engine number 9 is a single potato that was gifted to Clayman by Jerry O. The resulting explosion sends Clayman into the cold embrace of space, where he will stay forever, as the Neverhood Inc. disbanded after releasing their 3rd game,
Welcome to Boombots.
Boombots, which was a genre shift again. This time a 3D 1 vs 1 combat game. It had an outstanding presentation, like the jump from the Neverhood to this just blows my mind. And look at the smooth animation, everything is super wacky and charming and hypes you for the gameplay, which... I didn't enjoy at all. It's clunky, chaotic, and not that fun. Well, at least you can unlock Clayman as a fighter. This is also that one time where I forgive them for not releasing the game outside the States, as, well, they folded shortly after releasing it there, so they probably didn't have much money. Again, we just can't have nice things. Years later, thanks to Kickstarter, Doug TenNapel, together with many people from the original team, created a spiritual successor to the universe, taking after the first game. Army Krog was... let's leave it like that. It just was. And so, the story ends. I'm super happy that I could just tell you about Skullmonkeys. It's still surreal to me that after all these years I've managed to grab an actual copy of it. It actually has even more meaning to me as I got to buy it from a really cool guy who needed a quick buck because he bought a ticket for Metallica in the Snake Pit. You see, I have a tendency to exchange emails with people I buy more interesting games from, you know, mostly because it's just fun to talk with other hobbyists, and sometimes thanks to that they will offer you other games from their collection. I've managed to get some real gems that way, including most of someone's Dreamcast collection for like an equivalent of $200. Anyway, we're exchanging these lengthy messages when he randomly just sends me his Wall of Glory. That includes his most treasured PS1 games. I mean, look at it! Simple, elegant, no clutter. And some really nice stuff. Symphony of the Night, Kingsfield, Street Fighter, the movie, the video game. We basically had the same backstory. Kids from the poorer end of middle-class families who played pirated games, and then after finally getting money, they started buying the real copies of the games they loved. From the little bits of info I've managed to gather, he seemed to be close to my age, maybe 2 years older at most. When we were talking about actually not having time to play the games we buy, he mentioned his wife and kids and how time-consuming family life really is. Luckily, I've managed to steer the conversation away from that, but I kind of felt like a failure. A lone 31-year-old loser with a shitty YouTube channel and a collection that isn't as impressive as that guy's. Well, at least I have a pretty sweet renovated crib with a lot of space for me and my games. Anyway, Skullmonkeys get my complete recommendation. It may be only 3 or 4 hours, but they will be one of the best hours of your gaming life. Everything just clicks. The extraordinary art style, tight ass gameplay, and by gods, the music. You'll just have the time of your life. After finishing the complete run, I was constantly thinking about the game, just wanting to play it again. But I managed to be a responsible adult and resisted. Thanks for listening about this game. You probably won't give it a chance, but I did my part anyway. Once more, a recommendation with a crooked thumb of quality.